My name is Dave Larson. I'm a motion graphics designer, 3D animator, YouTube marketer, and stock investor. Yeah, stock investor. I never thought a creative right-brain person like me could take charge of their financial future and start investing in stocks. I'm going to tell you about the 10-year-long process it took to get to the point where I have $1 million in investments right here, right now, and I'm still doing motion graphics and 3D animation. And I'm going to tell you about the 3 best decisions I made during this process that will help you get there much faster and avoid many of the mistakes that I made. Stay tuned. Over 16 years ago, after being laid off for the second time in my career, I decided to go freelance and eventually start my own company. It was really the best decision I ever made. The freedom I had for my life and the extra money I was making over a staff job was just a great decision. But the one thing I realized pretty quickly is there was no one taking money out of my check anymore and putting in an investment for me. I was on my own. Up to that point, I had no idea how much I should be putting away or even how much I needed to retire someday. And one day I came across this advice that I found on Fidelity's website. It said, in order to have a decent shot at maintaining your standard of living in retirement, you should have 6 to 9 times of your salary tucked away by your mid-50s to early 60s. So, if your salary is $75,000 a year, you would need to have around $600,000 by the time you are 55. Let me ask you this, are you on target for that? Well, don't feel too bad because I wasn't either back then, but I knew I needed to do something about it. So that led to my number 1 smart decision, that I needed to get serious about saving and take ownership in my financial future. Well, in this day and age, there's really only 2 options, real estate or stock investing. See, I live in Southern California, and the average home price in Southern California is $730,000. Now, if I were to buy rental property in Orange County for $730,000, this is what I would have to do. I would have to first be approved for a loan and provide 20% down to avoid PMI. That alone would cost me $140,000. Or I could put 10% down, but I'd still have to pay PMI, but that amount would be $70,000. Plus, the interest on this loan would typically be about 1% higher because it's a rental property. Lastly, you're going to have to deal with finding renters, collecting the rent, hiring a management company, and repairing damage to property. Also, many landlords are dealing with ADA lawsuits and other headaches. Now that's not only a high barrier of entry financially, but a lot of headaches and a lot of problems. Real estate has never been an option for me until only very recently. So that leaves us with the only other option, the stock market. Now stocks, I admit, are riskier than real estate, but the barrier to entry is much lower. Now, on the contrary, I can buy a share of Apple stock for $270, and this is a $1.2 trillion company. There's no down payment, no loan papers, no real estate commissions, no fees, and no renters. When you hold this stock, it's like you own a part of that company. It's like the 132,000 people that are working full-time for Apple are kind of working for you. Now, Mark Zuckerberg had a very interesting quote on risk. He says, the biggest risk is not taking any risk. In a world that's changing really quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking risks. Okay, I'd finally decided that I was going to invest in stocks and get serious about investing. But the next question was, how do I invest? Smart decision number 2 was I started up my own IRA account and my own brokerage account. Now, before I talk about my IRA I set up, I want to talk about yours. Do you have an employer that matches your IRA contributions? Very few do these days, but if you do, you are extremely fortunate. The most common employer matches 50 cents on the dollar of up to 6% of your salary. Now, if you are investing any less than what your employer is matching, you are turning down free money, and nobody turns down free money.
Wait, hold up. You guys need some free money for school?
Yeah, those are my teenagers. Now, if that's you, you have a matching retirement fund through your employer. Make sure you're matching 100% of what your employer will. No more and no less. That's the smartest thing you can possibly do. I don't want you to even listen to what else I'm going to say about my IRA until you've done that. So let's go ahead and wait. We'll wait for you. And this is a good time for the rest of you to go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe. Okay, you're back? All right, now we can move on. Now, for many years, I was always bummed out thinking that, there's no similar benefit for me. As a self-employed guy, a freelancer, no one's going to match my funds. No one's going to take care of me like that. Well, I was wrong. What I learned from my tax guy is that good old Uncle Sam will match your contributions to your IRA as well. So basically, an IRA's effect on your taxes you owe are 30%, or like a 3-to-1 ratio. So when you deposit $1,000 into your account, your tax burden is reduced by $300. That's a 30% return on your investment, just by depositing that money into your account. Okay, so watch me make 30% right now. I've got a check, I put it in the envelope, I take a stamp, pop it on the envelope, send it away to your brokerage house. 30% right there. So now 30% is a great return on your investment. But now imagine that money heads up into your brokerage account and you make another 30% on top of that. You're now looking at 60% return on your investment. That's some easy money. That's some smart money. Okay, so smart decision number 1 was getting serious about taking ownership in my financial future. Smart decision number 2 was setting up an IRA and maximizing the contribution. But the next question at hand was, well, how do I invest this money? Where do I invest this money? So that led me to smart decision number 3, getting advice from people smarter than myself. So for the next step, I went to go visit a financial advisor. The thing that shocked me was his commission. It was going to cost me $8,000 in commissions just for him to help me out. That just didn't seem like a smart use of my money. So one day I came across a guy online that was going to charge me $150 for the whole year to give me stock advice on a weekly basis. I figured, how can I lose? So this really became the beginning of my educational process. And I still subscribe to advisors today, as well as do my own research. So as a bonus, I'm not only going to give you the 3 best decisions I ever made, but I'm going to give you the 3 worst. And the first is, initially, I was only trusting in one person to get my stock advice. Now the first guy I followed was really good at charts and gave me a really good background in understanding charts and data. But his general slant was betting against the US economy. He had me investing in Russia stocks, Turkey stocks, Chinese stocks, almost everything but the United States. And unfortunately, he was often wrong more than he was right. Well, eventually I replaced this advisor, and then added a second, and then a third. As I mentioned, I follow and pay for multiple advisors at this point, as well as do my own research. So my second mistake pretty much comes out of my first mistake. I wasn't diversified in the people I was listening to, and I wasn't diversified in the stocks that I was investing in. My third mistake was going all in on my investments. So if I had, say, $1,000 I was going to invest in a stock, I would invest the entire amount. That led to some initial losses that were hard to take. It was kind of the all or nothing approach. So what I do now is if I have $1,000 to invest, I invest about 50% of that and then leave 50% on the table. This reduces the risk of the investment and gives you some capital to invest later. Let me show you what I mean by looking at a few stocks. Okay, so I want to show you one stock purchase that's been kind of frustrating for me, but in the end, I'm really happy that I averaged in and didn't put all my money in one shot. You can see here it's Snapchat. Now back in September of 2017, I bought about 166 shares of this stock at $15.50 a share. So now that was over 2 years ago, and I'm still down about 8.5% on those purchases. So imagine if I went all in and spent my entire budget on Snapchat at $15.50 a share. That would have been a very frustrating purchase. But I didn't. I followed my rules and spent about 50% of what I wanted to spend on initial purchase. So you can see now, almost a year later, I bought another 170 shares at $11.75 per share. I'm currently up 21% on that purchase. And a month later, I bought 198 shares at $10.10 per share. I'm currently up almost 41% on that. So for those of you that are my Patreon followers, you'll often hear me say, let's spend 50% now, and let's wait to see what happens after that. Now, if that stock price goes down, we have an opportunity to buy more. By keeping money on the table, you have that option. So don't let that money burn a hole in your pocket. Be smart with it and average down. Check out what Warren Buffett said.
Anytime stocks go down, as far as I'm concerned, I like it because I'm a net buyer of stocks. I've been buying stocks ever since I was 11 years old. So when stocks go down, it's good news. Just like when hamburgers go down, it's good news, or Coca-Cola goes down, it's good news in terms of anything I buy.
So can a creative type person, a right brain thinker, also become a successful stock investor? The answer is yes, but it took me about 10 years to get there. But that's why I'm making these videos and showing you my mistakes and my best decisions. It's because I want you to get there quicker. I was paralyzed for many years thinking I couldn't handle this stuff, and I wasted a lot of years in potential investment returns. I don't want that to be the case for you. That's why I'm creating these videos, so that you'll get the training, the encouragement you need to jump in right now and take responsibility for your financial future. I'm sure many of you are late to the game for investing like I was, so there's no time to lose. If you haven't already, check out my latest 2 videos I posted. One of them talks about how I made $2,600 in dividends in 1 month, and my other one is my hot stock pick for this month. So if you want to see future videos, be sure and subscribe and hit the alert button so you'll have the latest and smart money videos. God bless.